の時間なのだ。この動画は英語に少しでも慣れたい音や心地よい声でぐっすり眠りたい音にぴったりなのだ。ヘッドホンやイヤホンを使うともっとリラックスできるかもしれないのだ。でもね、寝る準備ができたらそのまま聞いてリラックスしてほしいのだ。聞きながら眠っちゃっても全然大丈夫なのだ。それじゃあ一緒にリラックスした時間を楽しむのだ。ではでは始めるのだ。
The Hidden Kingdom Quest. The sun was just beginning to rise over the sleepy village of Brookhaven, casting its golden rays over the rooftops and cobblestone streets. In a modest cottage at the edge of the village, a young boy named Ethan stirred from his sleep. Today was not an ordinary day. It was the day he and his best friend, Arya, had been waiting for, a day that promised adventure beyond their wildest dreams. Ethan and Arya had grown up listening to tales of a hidden kingdom buried deep within the Whispering Woods. A vast and mysterious forest that stretched for miles beyond the village. The kingdom, according to legend, was a place of unimaginable beauty and treasure. But it was also protected by challenges that only the brave and clever could overcome. "Ethan, are you ready?" Arya called as she stood outside his cottage, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She was always the more adventurous of the two, with her fiery red hair and determined green eyes. Ethan appeared at the door, fastening the strap of his own bag. "Ready as I'll ever be," he said with a grin. The two friends had spent weeks preparing for this journey, gathering supplies, studying old maps, and listening to the wisdom of the village elder, a man named Eldrin, who claimed to have once ventured into the forest himself. Remember, Eldrin had told them, the Whispering Woods is alive. It listens, it watches, and it tests. You must trust each other and trust your instincts. As they entered the forest, the towering trees seemed to close in around them, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blocked out much of the sunlight. The air was cool and filled with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves. A faint trail wound its way through the undergrowth, but it was clear that nature had begun to reclaim it. "Do you think the stories are true?" Ethan asked as they walked. Arya shrugged. We're about to find out. They followed the trail for several hours, stopping occasionally to consult their map or to marvel at the beauty of their surroundings. The deeper they went, the more otherworldly the forest became. Trees with silver bark and leaves that shimmered like gold began to appear, and they noticed strange, glowing flowers that seemed to hum softly. Their first challenge came when they reached a river that was too wide and deep to cross. There was no bridge in sight, but a series of large stones jutted out from the water, forming a potential path. "It's slippery," Arya said, testing one of the stones with her foot. "We'll take it slow," Ethan replied. "One step at a time." Carefully, they began to make their way across. Halfway through, a sudden splash startled Tama Fish, glowing faintly, leapt from the water and arched through the air before disappearing again. "Did you see that?" Ethan exclaimed. "Keep moving," Arya urged, her heart pounding. They reached the other side without incident, but the encounter left them both more alert. The forest, it seemed, was full of surprises. Their next challenge came in the form of a riddle. As they walked, they came upon a clearing where a massive stone statue stood. The statue depicted a knight holding a sword, and at its base was an inscription: "To proceed, speak the truth. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I?" Ethan frowned, reading the riddle aloud. "Cities but no houses. Mountains but no trees. Water but no fish." Arya tapped her chin, deep in thought. Then her face lit up. "A map." She spoke the answer aloud, and the statue's eyes began to glow. With a rumble, the ground shifted, and a hidden staircase appeared, leading downward. "Good thinking," Ethan said as they descended into the darkness. The staircase led to a cavern filled with crystals that cast a soft, multicolored light. At the center of the cavern was a pedestal holding a golden key. "This must be important," Arya said, carefully taking the key. As soon as she did, the crystals began to vibrate, emitting a high-pitched tone. They quickly exited the cavern, the sound fading as they emerged back into the forest. The golden key proved to be their ticket to the next stage of their journey. They soon encountered a massive door embedded in a hillside, its surface covered in intricate carvings. When they inserted the key into a slot at the center, the door slowly creaked open, revealing a tunnel lined with glowing moss. The tunnel led to a hidden valley, and at its center stood a magnificent castle. Its towers reached toward the sky, and its walls sparkled as if embedded with diamonds. Ethan and Arya stared in awe. "We found it," Ethan whispered. "The hidden kingdom." But their journey was far from over. As they approached the castle, they were met by a figure dressed in flowing robes. The figure introduced herself as Lyra, the guardian of the kingdom. "You have done well to make it this far," Lyra said. "But to enter the castle, you must face one final trial." The final trial was a test of courage and unity. Lyra led them to a courtyard where a series of challenges awaited. They had to navigate a maze filled with illusions, solve puzzles that required them to work together, and face their own fears manifested as shadowy creatures. Ethan and Arya relied on each other every step of the way, their bond growing stronger with each challenge. By the time they completed the trial, they were exhausted but triumphant. "You have proven yourselves worthy," Lyra said, opening the gates to the castle. "The hidden kingdom is now yours to explore." Inside the castle, they found treasures beyond their imagination: gold, jewels, and artifacts from a long-lost civilization. But more importantly, they discovered knowledge books filled with ancient wisdom, maps of uncharted lands, and tools that could help their village prosper. Ethan and Arya spent several days in the kingdom, learning as much as they could. When it was time to return home, they promised Lyra they would keep the kingdom's secrets safe and use what they had learned to help others. Their journey back to Brookhaven was filled with excitement as they recounted their adventures and imagined the impact their discoveries would have. When they finally arrived, the villagers welcomed them as heroes. Ethan and Arya's journey to the hidden kingdom became the stuff of legend, inspiring future generations to seek out the unknown and embrace the spirit of adventure. And though they eventually grew older, they never stopped exploring, always dreaming of what lay beyond the horizon. The Forgotten Realm Odyssey. It was a quiet morning in the town of Eldermore, a place known for its serene beauty and the thick mist that always seemed to cling to its cobblestone streets. For as long as anyone could remember, Eldermore had been a sleepy town, tucked away from the troubles of the larger world. But that was all about to change. At the edge of town, a young woman named Alara stood by her small cottage, gazing toward the horizon. She was an orphan, raised by the kind-hearted villagers, and had always been drawn to the mysterious forest that bordered Eldermore. The forest, known as the Shrouded Wilds, was a place of both wonder and fear, filled with ancient ruins and whispers of magic. Alara's curiosity was insatiable, and she spent her days studying old maps and listening to the tales of travelers who dared to venture into the wilds. But what truly captivated her was the legend of the forgotten realm, a hidden land said to lie deep within the forest, protected by powerful enchantments. It was a place of unparalleled beauty and ancient knowledge, but no one who sought it had ever returned. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alara's quiet life took an unexpected turn. She was sorting through a box of old books in the village library when she found a strange journal. Its leather cover was cracked with age, and its pages were filled with sketches and notes about the forgotten realm. At the back of the journal was a map, incomplete but detailed enough to show a path through the shrouded wilds. Alongside the map was a cryptic note: "The realm opens only to those who seek with a pure heart and an open mind. Beware the trials that guard the way." Alara's heart raced. This was the sign she had been waiting for. The next morning, Alara gathered her supplies: a sturdy backpack, a flask of water, some dried food, and a lantern. She also carried the journal and a small knife, more for comfort than protection. As she stood at the edge of the forest, she took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown. The shrouded wilds were unlike anything Alara had imagined. The trees were enormous, their branches intertwining to form a dense canopy that blocked out most of the sunlight. The air was cool and damp, filled with the earthy scent of moss and fallen leaves. The path marked on the map was faint, but Alara followed it diligently, her eyes scanning for landmarks. Hours turned into days as Alara journeyed deeper into the forest. She encountered wonders and challenges at every turn, glowing mushrooms that lit her way in the dark, streams with water so clear it seemed invisible, and strange, melodic bird calls that echoed through the trees. She also faced danger-hidden pits, thorny vines that seemed to reach for her, and shadows that moved just beyond her vision. One night, as she rested by a small fire, Alara heard a soft voice. "Why do you seek the forgotten realm?" it asked. Startled, she looked around but saw no one. "I seek knowledge and truth," she replied, her voice steady despite her fear. "I want to understand the world and my place in it." The voice did not respond, but Alara felt a sense of approval, as if the forest itself had acknowledged her sincerity. Beyond the archway, the forest transformed. The trees were taller, their leaves a vibrant green that seemed to glow. Flowers of every color carpeted the ground, and streams of silver water meandered through the landscape. But the beauty was tempered by new challenges. Alara faced 3 trials, each designed to test her character. The first was a bridge of light spanning a deep chasm. As she stepped onto it, the bridge began to waver. A voice whispered, "Only the brave may pass." Alara steadied her nerves and walked forward, her gaze fixed on the far side. Each step felt like a leap of faith, but she made it across. The second trial was a labyrinth of mirrors. Each reflection showed a different version of herself, some kind, others cruel, some confident, others filled with doubt. To escape, she had to choose the reflection that represented her true self. After much contemplation, she touched the mirror, showing her as she was, flawed but determined, and the labyrinth dissolved. The final trial was a test of compassion. Alara found a wounded fox caught in a trap. Though time was running short, she stopped to free the animal and tended to its injuries. The fox looked into her eyes, and she felt a connection, as if it understood her actions. "You have passed," a voice said, and the fox transformed into a glowing figure. "The forgotten realm awaits." Alara entered the realm and found it to be even more wondrous than the stories had described. It was a land of floating islands, crystal clear skies, and creatures that seemed to be made of light. At its heart was a library containing knowledge from across the ages. For weeks, Alara explored the realm, learning its secrets and uncovering truths about herself and the world. But she knew she couldn't stay forever. The villagers of Eldermore had raised her, and she wanted to share what she had learned to help them. When she returned to the village, she was greeted with awe and curiosity. Alara shared her stories and used her newfound knowledge to improve the lives of those around her. The legend of the Forgotten Realm became intertwined with her own, inspiring others to seek their own paths of discovery and growth. Though Alara's journey had ended, her spirit of adventure lived on in Eldermore, reminding everyone that the greatest treasures often lie beyond the edges of the known world.